The Express.
Welcome back to the Express podcast. Thank y'all for tuning in. On today's episode, we are fortunate to have Cubs left fielder, host of the Compound podcast, and coffee connoisseur, Ian Happ. We discuss Happ's role as a veteran in today's game, as well as his involvement in the MLB PA. He has such unique insight into the big leagues and how he's taken a leadership role on and off the field. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the Express. Glad to have my man Ian Happ.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. The first guy, the only guy I really knew on the Cubs. We actually talked about, quick little backstory. We were at the Gold Glove ceremony in 2022.
Yep.
It was each of our first Gold Glove. And obviously I was a free agent at the time. And started asking him questions about the Cubs and kind of brightened his face. And he was like, wait, is that a chance? And I said, yeah, it is. And here we are.
We never played against each other in college, but we played against each other in the minor leagues. First time was in short season?
Yeah, when you were in Eugene?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Short season and then high A.
Mm-hmm. You were in Myrtle and I was in Carolina.
I think you hit an inside the park homer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hit like a little, literally like a little baby liner up the middle, and the center fielder laid out for it, like head on, and it went right by.
Literally his worst nightmare.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And then double A.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've been playing against each other for a long time. And then that, which is crazy that was your first Gold Glove, and also amazing to win it at that field.
Atlanta
is arguably, maybe Cincinnati, the toughest infield in the big leagues.
And it's gotten better over the years just because we complained about it enough to make it better. But hey, that's the power of Wash. Wash got us right each and every day. No, that is funny. Like, we didn't really have any familiarity with anyone in the Cubs org other than you, because we played against each other, drafted the same year, 2015. And I was just like, you're the only person I like really could like cling to in a way.
Yeah, and we had the same agent too.
Correct.
For years. So
and then
we knew a lot of the same people.
Yeah. So we were kind of like always in the same circle. And then obviously it just ended up working out, and very thankful for it.
And Chicago in the summer is the best place in the world.
It is. My boy Mace has experienced it.
Chicago in the summer?
Boat night, fireworks show.
Oh, dude, it's the best.
It's the best.
Like, we went up there last year, like late July, I think for the Cardinal series, and it was like 86 with a breeze, and us Georgia boys were like, this is like March. Yeah, this is fantastic. How do I get up here?
Yeah, right. That was my big selling point when we talked that off season when you were going through it. I was like, no, you don't get it. Chicago in the summer is the best place ever.
It's funny. I understood a little bit because of Mal, because she's been playing there, so she's like, this place just like comes alive differently as the weather starts to warm up.
Seasonal depression going away.
I mean,
that's real.
Because you've obviously spent some time there in the winter. In my opinion, it's not necessarily because of just like the cold. It's more of it's gray.
You don't ever get sun.
You don't get the sun.
No,
I could deal with the cold if I got a little bit of the sun.
Yeah, and I married a girl from Chicago, so my first 6 years there, we were dating, and so I was back and forth between Austin and Chicago a lot.
Yeah,
and spent way too much time in the winter there, and I always had 12-month leases, so like I could stay there and go back and forth and stuff. And in the winter, it doesn't get like cold until Cubs convention every year. It's like 4 degrees. It's like on a schedule.
Yeah, you just couldn't bring that overcoat.
Yeah, but like December, like once kind of November ends and you get to December, it's like, oh, I'm not going to see the sun for 4 months.
That's like I'm from Ohio originally, so we're obviously Ohio State people, and then like the Ohio State Georgia game, all the boys are not Dansby, but thankfully, but they're Georgia fans, so they're playing each other. So I told them, I said, hey, just know when you encounter these individuals and they're angry, so they haven't seen the sun in 5 months.
Yeah, right. So,
right.
Give them some grace.
My family's from Cleveland. Actually, my mom's at Ohio State as a professor. My dad went to Ohio State, so
there you go.
I got a lot of Ohio family, and I grew up in Pittsburgh, so like I'm very familiar with not seeing the sun for an extended period of time.
Where's your like sports allegiance?
I don't.
Like,
Yeah,
where's your sports
Chicago.
loyalty?
Chicago. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. I just
You never got into like the Steelers? Or
no.
like the
I grew up
Penguins or
because
any
my
of
dad
that?
was from Cleveland, so I grew up a Browns fan.
Oh,
So I was like,
Mm.
I was Ohio State,
Real
I was
tough.
Browns, I was Indians, and we ended up. I was born in Philly and then grew up in Pittsburgh, and I basically rooted against all the Pittsburgh teams because like the Browns weren't good enough to root for.
Right.
Like
True.
the Indians, those early teams like Omar Vizquel and Jim Thome, like that was who I
Electric,
really,
yeah.
that was who I rooted for. And then like Pittsburgh, going to Pirates games growing up, like $9, sit wherever you want. But like Lastings Millage and Niger Morgan in the outfield, and like they were just hilarious teams. Then you had like Freddie Sanchez come up and some like just watching baseball, but I was never like a diehard fan of any team.
It's interesting because I feel like that region of the country is so loyal to like their group.
Yeah, and
right?
I think
the Midwest is like the Midwest and Northeast are very, very, very loyal.
that's all they
to,
got.
yeah,
It's like what they do. You know, it's just kind of like
Yeah.
we talk about like football down south. Like
yeah, and I mean, they're both like great fan base. Like the Pittsburgh fan base, like when the teams are good, like it's a great fan base. But they were never like the Steelers were good, but I was like, we were very an anti-Steeler family.
and you weren't like
But-
hockey either.
No, never hockey. And I was never like a huge like football fan. But then when you get to Chicago and you see like what the city, like how much the city can rally around a team when they're good,
Mhm.
I should like that's what I root for. Like I root for the Bears and the Blackhawks to be great because of like what it would do for the city.
Mhm.
You know, it would be so cool to
It
be
is.
there.
It
in
is
that time.
really neat seeing when like, you know, when Caleb Williams comes to our games, or when Connor Bedard last year, just like draft classes, or
Yeah.
or even a freaking kicker from a Bears team like 20 years ago shows up. Like when Robbie Gold came,
Yeah,
you
they love
they
Robbie
went
Gold, dude.
He's a legend.
They went insane.
They
And
love
it just
Robbie
goes
Gold.
to show that like they very much
They
can
love the
rally-
Bears.
Yeah, they can rally around a team.
Yeah, and like you know, it's Wrigley and the Cubs, and Benny Zo's the World Series MVP, but like Benny Zo comes back and like he played here for 4 years. People absolutely love him. Like Arrieta had his great run. Like when he comes back, like it's just the fans appreciate so much. Like the guys, and even like Rhino's a Hall of Famer, and these guys come back, and like Cubs didn't win for a really long time. And they just really appreciate the guys that were like there for a long time, that gave it everything. Like it's pretty cool. And the Chicago sports, like I went to a Blackhawks game this offseason and they weren't good. They struggled. I think they had the second pick in the draft, but like they won 4-2. The place was electric.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
absolutely
I know.
electric.
I know.
It's awesome.
They don't take time off. That's for sure. I actually want to jump into something because it's been on my mind recently. Is you're very involved in the PA.
Yeah.
You've, as long as I've known you, you've been very involved and outspoken and are really just like invested in care. How did that come about? Was it like something that you kind of got forced into when you were a young kid? Because in Atlanta, Tyler Flowers was our rep for a long time, and he was like, yeah, when I was a part of the White Sox, like nobody wanted to do it, and they just said, all right, your rookie duty was basically like do the PA, and he fell in love with doing it. So where does your story originate?
So when I first came up, KB was our rep, Chris Bryant, and I think the first meetings were in Dallas, like my rookie year. And so being in Austin in the offseason, it was like, all right, I can drive up and go to this. Chris didn't go, but Arrieta was going to go up, and because he was a free agent that year, and Tommy LaStella was going to be there too. Tommy was involved a little bit, and I was really close with those guys. And so went up to Dallas, went to the meetings, and it's just a bunch of information. Like it's just you're drinking through a fire hose for those like 3 days you're up there. And it's like, this is like, I care about the business of baseball. I cared about like learning about how the different stages would affect me. And after being there for that first one, I was like, this is something I would really like to do and have an impact on. Think I can like provide my perspective. And so I was an assistant rep under Chris for, I don't know, 3 years. And then in 2020, when we got shut down, I kind of like, I was the guy on the calls every day. I was the guy kind of providing information to the team. And then we went, like, from that experience, you know, we go into all the negotiations over 2020, trying to, like, figure out, like, how are we gonna get a season in? Like, how, like, through that time, it was like, you're thinking about it. You're like, if we can get back for July 4th and we're the only game in town, like, it's just us, and baseball comes back on July 4th in America, like, holy, like, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Didn't get that done. And then you kind of start to see, like, we the players need to, like, really push this forward and try to figure out a way to, like, get the game into a better place. Because at that time, the sticky stuff is in the game, hitting is down, attendance is, like, really down, TV is starting to be down. And so I just kind of felt a responsibility to, like, keep guys informed. And you know, went through the lockout and went through CBA negotiation, and just, like, there's so many parts of it that it's confusing, it's complicated. Like, there's so many lawyers on both sides working on this stuff, and, like, as a player, just to be, like, as informed as you can possibly be, I think it's helped me in my career, just, like, at how I look at the business side of the game.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I've appreciated that you do such a good job of is with the rate of, like, turnover in our game, in terms of the youth movement or young kids coming up and going down, they want to have guys with options so that they can move them up and down.
Yeah.
There's so much turnover that this is almost more important than ever, some of the PA stuff, because, you know, if you were to bring up certain issues to younger guys, or just even the overall vibe of, like, what negotiations are actually like against, you know, baseball's ownership, they don't fully understand how cutthroat of a business it is.
Yeah.
And for you, I feel like you do such a good job of, like, keeping us informed, but especially keeping the young guys educated on, like, hey, this is really important. You need to understand this, because it'll make a lot more sense about the trajectory of your career. Like, when you finally understand the business of baseball, you can kind of put it to the side and go perform, instead of, like, always, well, why are they doing this to me, this, that, and the other. And I'm just like, well, I can give you the obvious answer, but you kind of need to figure that out for yourself.
Yeah, and I think there's a few things, but, like, when I came up, like, I was drinking the Kool-Aid hard. Like, I'm in the big leagues, I'm 22, like, we were a good team. Like, this is awesome. Like, I had 24 pumps my rookie year.
You've been 17, right?
Yeah, I'm playing all over the place. Like, I'm gonna be up here forever.
The Cubbies are loving me.
This is gonna be great.
Yeah.
Leading off to start the season in 18, and, like, I struggled in 18, but, like, not, like, terrible. You know, above average.
Kind of like you're like a sophomore season. It's tough. They figured you out a little
hard,
bit.
It was hard for all of us.
Yeah.
Like, everybody in that, like, Belly had a down year. Josh Bell had a down year. Like, I had a down year. Like, DeJong, I think, had I think everybody that kind of came up in 17, you know, we all kind of, like, that second season when they have a little bit more information, it gets really hard. And then I got sent down to start 19.
That was after you started the year off with a homer, right?
Yeah.
Literally, like, first at bat, I think, of the entire, like, major league season.
In 18, yeah. First pitch of the season, I jumped him. And then and I struggled that year, and I punched a lot. And I got sent down in 19, and that was kind of like, oh, shit. Like, this is a business. Like, and then we had a chance that year. We ran back the same group. We had 96 wins in 18. Like, I'm watching for 3 months from AAA. And, like, it's like, holy shit. And we both have gone through the ARB process and gone to a hearing. And, like, you see that.
You gone to a hearing?
Yeah, I went to hearing my first year.
Which was 20?
After 20, before 21.
I thought the Cubbies didn't go to hearings.
They didn't. They took Justin Grimm, beat him. And, like, Theo and Jed never went to hearings. Like, they were very, like, we're going to get a deal done. And, you know, they made their offer, and it's like, well, that's not.
Yeah.
Especially your first year of ARB, because, like, it's a lot, but, like, your first year of ARB kind of sets you up
for the rest.
So, like, if you're gonna go that first year, so, like, if you, let's say it's $3 million or 3.5, like, if you start at 3, then all of your raises are based off 3.
Mm-hmm.
You start at 3.5, all your raises are based off 3.5.
Yeah.
So it has a 3-year impact on kind of how you get paid.
Yeah.
And so they took me to a hearing that first year, and I ended up winning. But like when you go through that process, it's kind of like, oh, like this is.
As my dad would say, they call you everything but a child of God. They try and tell you everything that you've ever done wrong and why you're actually lousy and not worth anything. Really.
And the Cubs were great. Like the Cubs didn't attack me personally. You know, it was all stat based. It wasn't like there was no
Correct.
personal attacks. They didn't come at me from like, this guy is the worst player ever and we hate him. It wasn't like that. But Major League Baseball, like their lawyers get involved,
Mm-hmm.
and like somebody from Major League Baseball who you've never met before is like telling you all the bad things that you've done
Mm-hmm.
in your career, and you're like, wow, this is different. And I feel a responsibility to the younger guys to like tell them, you know, to try to give them guidance on like, hey, this is how the process works. These are the things that matter when you get there. Like, and not only that, but like the reliever market, like when guys get called up and shuffled down, like if you're here for 2 days, like we need to make sure you get your service for being here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we need to make sure that you get your VJ does a great job with, you know,
VJs.
7 and 7 and all that stuff. But like, you need to make sure that.
Explain 7 and 7 real quick.
So like when you get called up, you get 7 days in a hotel. And is it
paid for by the team.
paid for by the team. Then is it 7 days of meal money?
I
too?
believe so.
Yeah.
That you are required.
Yeah.
The team is required to. Yes.
The team has to give that to you. So like making sure that like guys get that, making sure that like if you get, especially like in 2020 with expanded rosters,
Mm-hmm.
like when we had that, guys were just like hanging out and like weren't playing, but they were there. It's like they were getting service and not paid, or paid and not service. It's like, hey, let's make sure that make sure we're talking to the PA,
Right.
making sure you're getting that. Like make sure they know that you're here,
Right.
because the Players Association can't keep track of every single person and where they are and where like. You have to make sure that all that stuff, because it matters, and
Yep.
it matters for, you know, when I got sent down for 3 months, I was, you know, 30 days short of like ARB, of being like ARB
Super 2.
Super 2, which means you would get 4 years of ARB instead of 3, which makes a huge impact.
Yep.
And like making sure that guys know, like, hey, these are all the moving parts that will affect like ultimately how you get paid. And careers are so short. Like the average career right now is 3.5 years. Like you're not here for a long
You
time.
need to maximize the 3.5.
Yeah, and like for the majority of players, like you need to maximize every second you get in this game, and we've talked about it a lot. That comes into like how you prepare and your training room stuff, and like it's being in the big leagues is amazing, but it's short and it's challenging, and like you have to be like on every single thing. And a lot of the guys, like you're so focused on what you're doing on a daily basis to be here, and like having a little bit of responsibility to those guys of like, hey, here's the other stuff that you're not thinking about, that like, let me help you with that.
And I think it goes to show to even, I mean, you who I'm one of your best friends and don't even like fully realize all this stuff, and just like to the average like viewer that's listening, like the amount of things that go into this game to be good is
it's not just baseball.
It's more than just doing your work in the cage or getting your ground balls, or are you training right in the weight room? Are you getting your treatment done? You do such a good job of like every day you're on a call with your guy to kind of go over
My posture guy.
your posture guy to go over your stuff, or whether it's your diet or your nutrition, or even for me right now, like I lose weight during the year, and like sitting down with Brittany and like her kind of helping me to like get a few extra calories in, or whatever the case may be. And then, like you said, on top of that, you start talking about stuff when it comes like on the PA end of things and the business side of things, and you know, routine. Like there's literally so many different things. And that's why I feel like in this day and age, Talk always says this best. He's like, it's in his mind, it's never been easier to get to the big leagues, but it's also never been harder to like stick.
I think that's 100% true.
And stay. And that's where you see a lot of young kids right now are in this like survive mode, because they get there. It's like, well, I'm performing in AAA. It's like, yeah, but the average fastball in AAA is like 91. The average fastball in the big leagues right now is like 96. So it's a different game. And so get up here and it's like survival mode. I don't know if I can do it. We talked about this with Pete the other day of like, it's a real thing because we experienced it. You got sent down. I got sent down. You go and you do well. You come back up, and as soon as you step in the clubhouse, the big league clubhouse, you're like, you get that like feeling inside where you're like, can I do this? It's wild how that happens, but
Yeah.
it's true.
And I think it's probably the game's really hard, but confidence to me, like confidence is the most important.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all good athletes. We can all hit like
You're here for a reason. It's
Everybody-
not like you just
yeah.
like got here because you stunk.
everybody's here for a reason. And I think the thing that separates like the good players who stick around, the great players, is it's not physical ability. It's not tools. It's like are you confident in yourself every day?
Mhm.
Like when you walk up there against 100 with a wipeout slider, like are you walking in there like knowing that you're gonna succeed? And it's not. If you're a great player, 75% of the time you're gonna get out.
Especially in today's game
Yeah,
right now,
like,
75, not 70,
Not
75.
75. You hit
Yeah.
250 to 275 and you produce, like you're a great player in this game.
Yeah.
But like, can you consistently every day, like getting your ass beat every day? Can you like keep coming back and being like, nope, today I was 0 for 2 punches yesterday. Can I walk in there today and be like, that guy that's on the bump, I'm gonna beat him, and can I do that for 162 days in a row?
And the more that I'm like really and truly starting to realize, even in my 8th season, is like, and you hear this from young. When we were talking to Pete about this, I said the advice that pissed me off so much when I was a young kid was you got to figure out what works for you, but it's never been truer.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way for you to have like confidence in something is if you figure it out yourself and you get to something that you believe. And the other thing that guys used to say to me all the time was like, don't make it about mechanics. Do not make your swing about mechanics.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. Don't do it. And of course, everyone goes down the rabbit hole of mechanics, which is not, it's never wrong to want to have a better swing, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But I will say, when the mental component is confident and clear and you step into a batter's box with presence, it makes a world of difference.
A lot of times it can clean up your mechanics.
Yeah.
I had a great coach who talked about mechanics as the clue room.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're gonna go into
Don't go into the clue room.
everybody goes into the clue rooms. Matty Martin, you ever meet Matty Martin?
Brum says that too. He'll be
Yeah.
like, because him and Matty they talk, and he always says, he's like, hey, we can go in the clue room in the cage like for early work, but like let's not get stuck in the clue room.
Yeah.
And it's like you have to be in the right headspace to be able to go do that. Like if I'm in like a starting place where like I'm confident, I'm getting up early, I'm on time, like I have a really clear plan, then like okay, I'm doing all those things right every day,
And I'm swinging at strikes.
and I'm swinging at strikes,
Yeah.
like, and I'm not getting results. It's like, all right, what's off? What pitch am I missing? Am I a little bit under it? Am I like, what little thing do I have to do to clean that up?
Mm-hmm.
But like, if those other things aren't checked off, if I'm not in a good starting place, if I'm not mentally like confident every single day, then like if I go to mechanics, like I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm going the wrong way. So like, and I think in the big leagues, like the only thing that you can control on a daily basis is your routine. Like I can control my routine. I can control the way that I prepare every day, my cage work, like my defensive work. Like if that stuff is consistent every single day, like that gives me confidence to go out and play the game.
Yeah.
But once the game starts, like I can't control that dude like dotted on the edges and threw me a hip shot. Like
Or
job.
the ball that I smoked got caught,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
yeah,
Or I got some pitches off the plate called strikes yesterday, or whatever.
Yep.
There's so many things, and that's the challenging part. And I will say, I feel like you are one of the best that I've seen and been around in terms of like your routine. Like you have your routine, especially being a switch hitter. You obviously have to. I feel like you have to be better with it than most because
just
you have two
less
swings to
reps.
manage.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to manage quality reps as opposed to like he's not taking hundreds of swings. He's hitting his 4 quadrants on the tee, lefty and righty, and then doing some offset flips and with the same intent every time. And then that's about it. And I've always thought that was impressive, just because when you are going a little bit bad, like I'm like in here like trying to come up with like a new concoction of something that I can like do in the cage, to
it's like
to fix it.
It's so easy to be like, do I need to do like one hand? What do I need to do today? Do I need to hit the machine curveballs?
Yeah,
Do I need to start something running away from me and try to fillet it? Like,
Yeah.
But I think one of the things that taught me that in my career was coming up with the Cubs. You play so many day games, and so you don't take BP as much as like you take playing for the Cubs. You take the least BP of any team. And coming up with Joe Madden, Joe hated BP. Joe had a theory. I'm pretty sure this is right. Joe had a theory in the minor leagues where he like made when he was with the Angels way back, where he had one of the affiliates like not take BP for a full year to see if like it would have an impact. And
they were the best team.
Yeah, I think they raked. But like, it's like BP doesn't matter. Like you can,
it really doesn't.
You can go out there and like if you have a really good plan, like the best hitters, like I think Freddie was like this, right? Where he just like the same thing every
I feel like Goldie's like that too.
Riz was like that.
Like they're just trying to hit line drives in the same spot. Like they're not.
And I learned that from Riz, where his first round, because he did that foot down thing, with 2 strikes. So his first round, he'd be choked up on the bat, he'd be foot down, he'd be hitting these disgusting little fillets over the shortstop's head, just like. But every time it was the same every single time, and then he would up the middle, and then he would go to right center, and then he'd kind of open it up. But it was the same thing every single day, and like. The guys that I've played with who were the best players, most consistent for the longest time, like same routine every single day.
Yeah.
They weren't trying to launch stuff in BP. It was like, I'm out here with a purpose. And that was what I learned, coming up with those teams not taking BP is like, my cage work has to get me ready for the game. So like, I have to find that thing, being a switch hitter, not having as many swings, being a young guy, not having as much time in the cage. Like, I need to figure out what things I have to do that like, I can do this at 11 o'clock and like 2 hours later go hit 100.
Yeah, gotta figure out how to maximize my time in here.
Yeah, and so that's like kind of condensing it, figuring out like those, whether it's 10 swings off the tee and 10 flips, like that feeling of like once I get that feel, I can walk out of the cage and be like, all right, I can go hit.
Yeah.
And I think that served me really well because it gives me the confidence like on a daily basis to be like, I don't need to be in here messing around, trying a bunch of different stuff. And like at the lowest points of my career, I think that's when I've like tried too much stuff and like made that struggle longer because I'm trying something different, trying to do something different where it's like, no, I know I've established this. I know that like once I like click a couple of those balls and like feel that, I can take that feel and just go play.
Well, this is why I love doing this. And this is why I've enjoyed like getting to know different teammates, because it's to me like a team's identity and like a culture is a collection of personalities.
Yeah.
And it's just so intriguing, like getting to know different people's personalities and how we can best find a way to mesh them all together. Because like Happer is super like this all the time.
Detailed thought.
Just
like,
it's just like he just sticks to his process and is like seen the worst of it, seen the best of it, been a part of this, been a part of that, been around some really great teams in Chicago, and knows what it takes, especially considering the schedule, which I really don't think gets talked about enough, that the schedule is more challenging in Chicago than it is anywhere else, because especially now with everyone playing everyone, that there's not as many like people talk about like the central travel, like we don't travel like central to like because you don't play them as much anymore, so it's different.
Unfortunately, we've lost a little bit of that with the because you used to play every team.
It'd be like 18 20 times, yeah,
and now it's 12. I think that's right.
So there's less in division travel, which was like
that was
not a selling point, but like
it was. I mean,
for a while it was. It's not anymore. But
you had an hour flight to Pittsburgh, an hour flight to Cincy.
You were getting a nice dinner.
Oh yeah.
Every time when you're flying, because I mean the longest flight is like 50 minutes, like in division.
Yeah. Now it's like go to San Fran and then come back to Milwaukee, and you're like, wait.
Yeah. No.
Can't we just drive up after a Sunday game? That's way better.
I know And so I think, and managing like that schedule for us is definitely more challenging than I would say other places. But the beauty of it, like I was saying, alluding to like just his personality and how he goes about his business, is it works very, very, very well for our schedule, because like we know what we're getting from you every day, and you know what you're getting out of yourself every day.
Yeah. I try to be super consistent. I think like I play really even.
Mm-hmm.
I can get mad.
Oh, I know you can.
I can light it up.
You were born in Philly, brother.
But I try to play super even. I'm not like super rah. I don't celebrate a bunch. Like I've always like been like very even and like try not to get too high. I wish there was like a little bit more of that to my game. Like sometimes I find myself like in the 6th inning being like, I haven't really like, I'm on the bench cheering for guys, but like I wish I had more of that. But like I know for me to play every day and like get through 162, like I have to be very like even keel. And I know that's what keeps
quote
me
unquote
going.
pro. You got to be super pro.
That's just like what keeps me going. Like there's like playing with Javi and playing with like Morel and dudes that like really like have this energy and feel like.
That's why I tell Morel.
I wish I had more of that in me.
I tell Morel all the time, like, dude, I was like, I'm gonna hit you if you don't start smiling again, because it's like smiling is your superpower, right? Like we all have our own superpower. Like yours is even keel. Morel's is smiling and being Mayor Morel. You know, like that's his superpower. And I think it just goes to show like knowing who you are and just being that is more than good enough, especially in this game, because that's why we have 26 guys. And if each guy is doing what they're supposed to be doing, you know, and being who they are, then that's when you really like take off as a group.
Yeah. Do you feel like the process of the game, like we're so process oriented right now because the game's so hard, and we're trying very much to like stay in it and understand that like we have a lot more stats, we have expected stats, we have BABIP, like no. That was a really good swing. I hit it 105 directly at the guy. If I do that again over the course of the season, it's gonna
Right.
be. Do you feel like
if I hit, yeah.
Do you feel like since we came up, like the focus on process versus like, you know, I just want to get hits and score runs. You feel like it's like a different feeling on a daily basis?
Yeah.
It's like a different team feeling.
Because development's different. I mean, if you look at development now, it's on a pitching side, it's who can develop a pitch and throw it the most. You know, like who can spin.
That's changed a lot.
That's changed a lot. It's not about execution. I mean, we've talked like, see a lot of these teams, it's like they literally just go fastball, curveball, and they just set the mitt in the same spot. It's like just throw it in this area, and you're so much better. Like your stuff's so much better than whatever the hitter can do. Like it's gonna work out for us. And I think on the offensive side, which isn't, to me, it's not terrible, but I don't like how it's the foundation anymore, is what's your chase rate, what's your whiff rate, what's your walk rate, hard hit rate. Like they start looking at those things, and that's not what shows a hitter, in my opinion, because I've seen lots of great hitters like not consistently hit the ball hard, but get a lot of hits because they're convicted in their approach, or they never get sped up. So that ball that beats them, they're still taking a good swing. And it's like, man, that guy gets so lucky. It's like, no, that's just like really good hitting.
I mean, yeah, like Arise is like that.
Yeah.
You know, but
Freddie,
I've
seen Freddie like just like loop liners into the outfield, but that's beautiful hitting.
It's the product of a great swing. And I think that, I don't know that everybody or the casual fan or like the person that's like deep in analytics can understand that like it takes a phenomenal swing to produce an 80-mile-an-hour ball off the bat at 15 degrees. Like that's a really good swing. That's when the best hitters, Daniel Murphy used to talk about this all the time, is awesome. But like if I can get jammed and hit it at 80 at 15, or if I can hit it off the end of the bat and stay through a ball, and that's my miss, I'm gonna be really, really good.
Yeah.
That's how you hit 300. So that's it. It's like that's how you hit 300.
Yeah. And like you don't, Shohei hits the ball a million.
But they don't
miles an
talk
hour.
about all the like left on left, kind of like going
Ass
away
out.
from him, ass out. But he flicks it a line drive up the middle.
And the fact that he can like top spin, like Chris
Yeah.
Bryant was so good because when he hit the ball to left field, he top spun it.
Yeah,
And so it would go over the shortstop's head and in
Yeah.
front of left. It was unbelievable
Down.
every
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And to the line, it was like double.
Yeah.
And then when he would clip it, it would be a homer to left center.
Mhm.
But that, like that's how his swing played. And like understanding that, like like my best bolt's a homer to left center that's 500 feet, and then my miss is like a top spin double.
Yeah.
And like the guy, like we talk so much about like trying to create like
The perfect swing, the perfect
yeah,
result.
Like I want to hit it 105 backspin up the middle. Like yeah, me too, man. But when I miss,
Mm-hmm.
like I want my best years, like the last 2 years, like I get more excited about my misses
Yeah.
that are hits than like when I stink. Because like when I'm going good, like my misses are getting down. Like talking about hitting in that way of like
Anybody can go good when they're going good.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
how like
It's like they talk about golf. Like you can tell how good a golfer is by his misses. Like
yeah,
Tiger's
like
misses.
how tight it can be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like yeah, when I'm going bad, like are my misses still producing hits? Am I still walking when I'm going bad? Am I
Sack flies, moving
yeah,
runners.
if I stink, can I move a runner?
Yeah.
I like with where the modern game is and offense being down, like I would love to see a stat. JJ Redick was kind of talking about this in basketball about how like picks, like pick assist should be a stat. Like I think in baseball, like getting a runner over
Should be a stat.
should be a stat. Stack flies, getting
productive
a runner
outs, essentially.
Yeah, productive outs should
Yeah.
be a stat.
Yeah.
Like that's not
Well, like,
that's
what's
not
funny
factored
is-
into war.
What's fun, correct. And I've said that for a long time of if I go 0 for 4 with 4 ground outs to second baseman to get the guy from second to third, we end up scoring 4 runs because the guy behind me drives him in, basically.
You
Doing
get
your
no
job.
credit.
0. No hockey assists, no,
No.
like, but it's funny. And I've even thought this, and this would obviously change baseball, but like if I hit a fly ball to left with a guy on third and he scores, it's a sac fly. But if I hit a fly ball to center with a guy on second, he gets to third base and then ends up scoring, it's still an 0 for 1 for me.
Yeah.
But with that intent, like Miggy did last night, right? You know, when he
I
hits
was
fly ball to
thinking- I was
right,
thinking about it last night.
you know, and I'm just like, he's getting docked for that. But yet everyone in the true baseball circle is high-fiving him,
Yeah.
giving him his love because he got the runner over to third base.
I think you
and he didn't just give himself. What I love too is he tried to drive the ball to right field. It wasn't like I'm just gonna like, bink. No, it was
Yeah.
like I'm gonna drive it that way.
There's a couple of coaches that one of the guys I used to coach with. I forget what he coined the phrase, but like he would keep track of stuff like that, like sack flies, and he would have like your own like little percentage of like, hey, like yeah, like you said, you were 0 for 4, but you moved the guy 3 times. We got runs off that. Like, so when parents would be like, well, you know, Johnny's hitting a $128. Like, yeah, well, Johnny's leading the team in walks. He's leading the team in stolen
Like
bases.
quality of bat percentage.
Yeah, he's a quality like player percentage. Like,
But that's the thing. And Marquise Grissom actually talked to me about this when I was in AA in Mississippi. Was he started trying to view performance through the lens of eggs in a basket, where he wanted to put 5 eggs in a basket every day. And he started telling me like the different things that like, yeah, if he had a homer, it was 2 eggs, or, you know, but he's like, if I made a diving catch, that was 1. Or if like I got done and my uniform was dirty, that was 1. If, you know, I got moved a runner over, that was like, so he started playing a game within a game of like, there's more ways to impact a game other than getting hits. And I think that that's the thing that's lost in development, like we were talking about, because we're trying to produce our best bullet instead of trying to produce the best chance for the team to win baseball
like
games.
so stat
Like
oriented.
that's what matters is wins and losses, not, well, I went 0-4, but I hit 4 balls hard. It's like, yeah, but Johnny over there was 3 for 4. He didn't hit a ball 108, but he hit 3 line drives at 87 at, you know,
Or like
14
yesterday,
that got,
you had a ball hit to you and left, and could have been a double, but the rate which you fielded got it in.
that's not, yeah.
That's another
Cutting balls
stat, in
off.
my opinion. Like, or you make a
Keep it don't
diving
play in order.
Yeah, you make a diving play at second or catch one deep in the grass. No, you didn't get the out, but like everyone in the baseball world's like, hey, like
Yeah.
you made a good play right there.
As a corner outfielder, like if I get a ball hit to me, if there's a runner on first, I get a ball hit to me in left, to my left or to my right. I throw it into second, keep that runner from going to second.
It's a W.
I don't really get any credit for that. I actually get docked because the runner from first ran in my face and went to third.
Right.
But for us, it gives us a chance to get a double play.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us a chance to get out of the inning with one pitch instead of, a situation where I try to make that throw to third, that guy advances on the backside and a single scores 2.
Exactly.
But I get docked for that statistically. I think, like, when you talk about WAR, like, we get paid off WAR, we get paid off OPS, and we get paid off expected stats. So, like, the higher your WAR is, the higher your OPS is, and then if you hit the ball hard, even if you get out, the algorithm when
you become a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, the algorithm when they're valuing players is like, he hits the ball really hard, his expected stats are high, I think we can buy low, and this guy could be a really good baseball player. But we're not, like, I think there should be a contribution into WAR for, like, when you do good baseball things, like when you move the runner over, when you contribute to winning, like, those are wins above replacement. Like, that should be.
Or even, like, how are you handling counts? Like, how are you handling at bats in certain situations?
Or, I mean, the intangible of them all, just like presence in a clubhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
like
that's,
all like you start
some GMs
really
factor that in, some don't, and like, how do you do that? But like, the best, like the guys that contribute the most to the team are the dudes that drive, like Jose Ramirez and Pete Alonso and Freddie, and dudes that drive in 100 to 120 runs every year.
Just go ahead and put it down.
Every year.
Yeah.
It's going to do it. It's like
Pete could be hitting 210 and he's going to be leading the league in RBIs.
Somehow he's going to do it. And like, there's no stat for like percentage of RBI chances versus like guys that you drove in.
Yeah.
It's skill. I watched Rizzo do it for 4 straight years, driving 100 for 4 straight years, hitting 210 at the end of June. And then by the end of the year, he's hitting 260, 270 with 110. And it's like, I don't care how many homers he hit. I don't care how many doubles he hit. He drove in 110 runs for us.
Yep.
And that's a huge,
Trust me,
huge thing.
How I've always looked at it in terms of, especially going through the art process, which really opened my eyes to this, was what's important in the game. Saving runs on defense, right? Preventing runs.
And then scoring them.
So if you're upper echelon in preventing runs from being scored on defense and scoring runs, whether that's producing them, like driving them in, or scoring them, because some guys score a ton of runs, but they don't have a lot of RBIs.
Nico Horner.
Right. Like, those guys have to be valued at a premium level, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're doing the most important thing. Winning baseball games is about scoring runs and preventing runs. So
it doesn't, like,
where's the value system in that regard?
Yeah, like you don't get points for like you are every time you're on first base you're scoring from second on a double. Like you get great reads with one out and a guy hits a ball that's like, oh, he might catch this. No. I get a great read. I was already standing at second base and I scored on that when somebody else like panicked and is stuck at third. Like, that's a huge difference.
Yep.
And like, if the analytics community looks at RBIs and runs scored as luck. Of like, oh, well, you were on base and the guy behind you hit a double. Like, that's not your.
Yeah,
like,
you didn't
do anything.
You didn't do the work that someone was on base.
And like, when you drive in a run, it's like, well, the guy in front of you got on. That wasn't you. So, just luck. You just got a hit when there was a guy on base versus no. It's a lot different.
It's a skill.
When there's a guy on second, look at the way that the pitching
changes.
Percentages change.
Yeah.
Like, runner scoring position, different mix.
Yep.
They're going to throw their nastiest stuff. They're not coming after you. They're going to, if there's
They're
a base
even
open,
more so throwing the stuff that you're not very good at hitting.
Yeah.
Even more so.
Yeah. If there's a base open, the 2-0 count, you're going to get a breaking ball. You're going to get a cutter on your hands instead of just a fastball away. Like, everything changes. And the dudes that can do that on a consistent basis, like, that is a huge part of winning. Don't call it war if it's not about winning.
Correct. Preach.
Yeah.
Have you been holding that in for a while?
Yeah. I went off on a little bit of a rant.
You've been holding that in. All right, well, we're going to switch topics then.
Okay.
I want to talk about your coffee.
Do you talk about my coffee?
I want to talk about it. We can plug it.
Oh, I love that.
You got coffee?
Connect Roasters.
Yeah, he has.
No, I'm plugging him.
Well, you just go ahead and give me. Yeah, you have a coffee?
Wait, you have a coffee? Tell us about it. What you got?
Yeah.
So in 2020, we got shut down in Arizona. A couple of the guys, Nico and 2 guys I do my podcast with, Zach Short and Dakota Mekas. And I saw on Twitter this coffee company from Chicago, Bourbonnais, so like 45 minutes out of Chicago. I was like, oh, that looks interesting. Reached out to the guy, hey, can you send me some coffee? I'd love to try it. Went to Target, got a full pour over set because we were living in this house, didn't have a set.
Very nice.
And was like, let me try this. It was like, oh, this is some of the smoothest stuff I've ever had. So pitched them the idea of doing we called it quarantine coffee, and we gave back like a huge percentage of the proceeds to the food bank in Chicago, and then Save the Children to help with COVID relief. And that's kind of how it started. Went really well. It was like, hey, I would love to be a part of this, like, and invest. And so the founder, Caleb Benoit, is an awesome dude from Bourbonnais. He went down to the Dominican to a coffee farm, kind of like saw the poverty down there, and so they always had a mission where they would give $1 per pound roasted back to the communities and help like build schools and help the communities and where they were actually taking the beans from. And so, you know, we source from all over Ethiopia, Guatemala, everywhere, Nicaragua. And so it's been an awesome experience. I was always a big coffee fan. Did my own
So you've been a big
yeah.
coffee.
My brother's 6 years older, so we started living together in Austin after I got drafted. You know, started doing pour over every day, and introduced me to nice coffees and stopped.
Change your life.
Yeah, my parents were just French roast, like gross sludge, and so like we drink nice coffee, and I always fell in love with it. When I was on the road as a young player, I would always go find a coffee shop and sit down, try to get the best coffee in the city, and it's been awesome. And the roasting that they do, like the high quality beans from the individual farmers in different places, the connection that they have. And then we've created this, like, we call it the home run club. So for every home run the Cubbies hit at home, we give $1 to the people that are in the home run club. They get a subscription that comes to their door. Yeah, we need to hit a few more homers for the people.
They've got $12.
They you know, they've created this community where they get coffee to their house once a month, which is a cool concept. But like they were giving tickets to each other at the end of the year last year, like, hey, you know, I'm not going to be in the bleachers, do you want my tickets, and trading back and forth to doing stuff. It's been really cool. We've done a couple meet and greets where, you know, you get to meet these people who get the coffee every month, and we've done a ton for the food bank. We've worked with the First Tee in Chicago, and
That's cool. I didn't know that element of it.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Where's your where are the farms you're getting the beans from?
Kind of all over. So we have Ethiopia,
Oh yeah,
Nicaragua, we have Congo, the Dominican. So we have like 5 or 6 countries where we're sourcing beans.
Ethiopia is the original coffee. Like that's where it was. Do you know the story of how coffee was found? Do you know the story?
I do not.
Enlighten us.
Yeah, please tell me.
So for my this is.
Are we gonna have to fact check this after?
No, I wrote a 30-page paper about it.
He's already done the fact check.
Yeah, I was the fact checking. No, so like my senior, I was a history major in college, and like your senior class or whatever, they don't tell you like what the topic is, right? And so when you get assigned to the class, like the first day, there's literally 8 historians in there, and they're like, all right, here's the topic, and then literally they decide, do I want to drop this class? Do I want to keep this class? And the topic was coffee, and I was like, you have to write, like I said, 30 pages. I'm like, how am I going to write? Like, what am I going to write about? And so my topic was how coffee impacted the Civil War, but that's neither here nor there. I had to like research like the original like coffee story and stuff. And so basically what happened is there's this guy who like a farmer with goats in Ethiopia, and he let his goats out and they didn't return. And they went and they got this, like, he like found them around like these bushes, like coffee, right? And so they're eating them, and what was happening is they were like shaking and then passing out. And he's like, what the hell? So then brings them all back in. Next day opens the gate, boom, they go flying to it. And then he's like goes and he sees that they're eating these little like coffee beans, and so he tries to eat them. And that's how originally like it started, because then he obviously like imagine like the first time you ever had caffeine.
Yeah,
like
he's like, this is electric.
Yeah, like
I am now addicted.
Dude, yeah, like my wife, she has a heart condition, so she like couldn't drink caffeine for a long time. And then we just had our first son, so she still couldn't drink. So then like she's like slowly drinking coffee, and she'll get like the smallest cup, dude, and she has like 2 sips, and I can like see in her eyes she's like wired. I'm like, gosh, man, I
the
wish
things I would do.
enjoy this moment. Yeah.
I want to go back.
Yeah. So it's always interesting to me, like, because I love coffee. I love it. How do you drink your coffee? Just straight black? Yeah. See, that's my guy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. And I
mean, we're all the same.
Yeah, I do pour over at home every day, and so like Jameson Tyon, he brings like a pour over kit on the road. Like he's
Yeah,
legit.
no, he's got
Really?
like a locker set up. Yeah,
Yeah, he's got a
where he
whole kit.
does.
But I do pour over at home, every day and try different stuff. And my wife, when we first met, was not a coffee drinker.
Yeah.
And was like, come on, you gotta. Now she makes the pour over every day. She's like on it. Like,
Yeah, she needs it.
Yeah,
I
she
need to
needs
start getting my pour over back rolling.
Yeah,
So I'm gonna buy some
I
of your
colder
coffee.
so I just always drink black cold brew or iced coffee.
Yeah, and we did like it's been crazy to learn, like, because we started doing cold brew, and we would do it in house, and like they would just basically do like vats of cold brew, and then they were doing farmers markets and stuff like that. We have a cafe in Bourbonnais now, but then we started doing canned cold brew and like the different ways that you can make canned cold brew and to make it shelf stable and like learn about that.
It's kind of
cold chain and
crazy.
all that. You're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
there's a lot.
So much
that
more
goes
goes
this.
into it.
Yeah.
Is it like is this something y'all do at the field? It's like a routine? Like, I know you drink, well, I guess sometimes you may drink a cup of coffee or whatever at the field, but like, is it like for example, I was coaching football. So like one of our things, like on Friday, like before we know, like 2 hours for game time, like, all right, boys, like I'm gonna go get her fired up. Everybody get your cups ready. It was like our routine and like our staple. Do y'all do any of that at the field or?
J-Mo definitely is got the routine of like at a certain time like he'll literally like make the coffee and go set it in the people's lockers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, like
that's awesome.
J-Mo's great about that. Usually for me in Chicago on day game, like I'll have a cold brew when I get to the field, like with breakfast.
I have one before I get in, and then usually one like when I'm doing my posture, like my first stuff of the day. But then I gotta shut it down because I'm the even guy. Can't get too high.
Yeah,
can't be all
can't have
hyped
too
up on
many
caffeine.
coffees.
So-
I don't get the dudes that can just like crush coffee like up
I don't
until
get
game
it.
time. I'm like, I'll be wigging.
I
out.
usually I typically probably have 1 cup of coffee a day, but there's some days where I just like need to, but I can't drink it after a certain time or else like I'm not
So
really
old.
sleeping.
Yeah, and I can't. Yeah, I can't. I can't do it. Sleep's important. I can't do it for night games either. Like I shut my coffee down at noon or something, and then
Really? So
Yeah.
caffeine affects you like that?
yeah, it didn't used to, and it started like a couple off seasons ago. Like I would be drinking coffee at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and be like,
Yeah.
I can't sleep.
Yeah.
Really?
Holy
Like
shit.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Look, it couldn't be the coffee at 5.
Yeah, I'm so jealous
my
of the
mind.
starting pitchers because if I was a starting pitcher, like the other 3-4 days, I would just like J-Mo does. Like I'd be walking into the dugout with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I'd be doing that every day.
Yeah.
But I can't. I can't get to that point.
What's your posture stuff? What's that look like?
So Cole Hamels got traded over here in 2018, and he was in Dallas in Texas, and he had this posture guy, and the practice was called a Gosku, and so essentially what it was like you sit in different positions. It's a full body reset. So because we're such rotational athletes, like I have a little bit of advantage because I hit both sides. Like guy that throws righty and hits righty, you're just constantly
Pulling,
rotating one
yeah.
way, just constant.
This guy.
And so you end up where your whole
Everything
body
gets
gets
off.
a little bit turned. Like you rotate,
Hips get rotated
yeah,
a lot.
like you rotate more to one side than the other. So like one side's looser, one side's tighter. Like if you look at pitchers, like John Lester towards the end of his career, like his left scap was like in the middle of his back, and the right scap normal. Because you throw for 25 years from one side, like your body just ends up making these adjustments. And so it was basically, how can you reset your body on a daily basis to keep you as even as possible so that one side isn't compensating and you're not getting hurt? And so
So is it a lot of breath work?
not a ton of breath work. It's more of like, and it's not super strenuous, but it's 30 minutes a day of like, I'm going to, it's kind of like witch magic, but I'm going to, like, my lower back hurts. It's like, all right, we're going to do a routine that's going to get your hips engaged. It's going to get your upper back moving, and then we're going to do a couple things to get the low back moving, and everything else is going to help compensate for that one thing. And so as like I go through the season, you have these little things of like a shoulder or a hip or a knee. It's like, here's the exercises to get everything else working, because a lot of the times it isn't that spot.
Right.
Like my knee hurts.
It's not your knee. It's the
not
things
my knee.
around it.
It's my calf is messed up, and my hip is messed up.
Correct.
And my left hamstring is tight. And so if I can clean those other things up, it'll take pressure off the place where I'm actually feeling the pain.
Correct.
And so we've been working together since 2018. You know, and it's an everyday thing.
Yeah.
I FaceTime with him 6 days a week. We work 200 plus days a year together of like that. And
Where's he based out of?
He's based out of Fort Worth.
Okay.
So that's my like everyday, like this is the thing that I can trust and believe in. Like if I have if I have something messed up, like that's kind of my first stop of like, we're going to clean it up here. If it persists, like then figure something else out. But like, and that it served me pretty well.
Well, the reason I asked is because I do like a little posture routine, because I had a pinched nerve and I thought I had a hernia. Remember how I could not, dude. I could not. I was 29 years old and I couldn't stand it. I was like, this is my life
this
ending.
Shouldn't be so.
Yeah, this shouldn't be like this. And I didn't know like what was going on. And so I went to all these people, and then I had originally like pulled a muscle just warming up randomly, and didn't tear it or anything like that. But like how it pulled, it caused like everything else to like ripple. And then literally one of the chiropractors I was going, she's a CrossFitter, and she was like, yeah, you did what I did. Like the problem is not this, it's everything around it. And so I do like a 30-minute a day. Like last night after the game, I went to the gym because I was on a plane, and then I came here, did a podcast, and I covered the game. And so like when we got back, because you got back later, I was like, I got to go to the gym, because if I didn't do it, like I knew. And literally the first thing I do is like the lay on the back and like have your legs crossed like this and touch it, and my entire spine just right down. It's like, oh, and you just feel it release. But I was curious kind of like what you were doing. Just because you kept saying like posture guy. I was like, oh, I need a posture guy.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff like that. And like the original practice where he worked is called a GOSCU, and they work on a lot of older adults with chronic pain, and you know, people that over the course of their life just get all hunched over, trying to like correct a lot of that stuff. And it's pretty passive, but it's just little corrections on a daily basis. Yeah.
No, I mean that's how I've started to view it a lot too. Julie, the lady that we see in Chicago a lot, she's incredible at what she does, and she always talks about like getting the skeletal system like in line where it's supposed to be first. Because if we didn't have muscles, like the skeleton never says ouch, basically. That's what she always says, like the skeleton never says ouch. And so if we're in perfect alignment skeletally, the muscles will start to show you where you're getting off. So like if something's getting pulled a certain way, you'll know, because at resting you'll be counterbalanced or whatever. And so she's super good at kind of like freeing those tense spots up to get your body back to neutral. And all you want to do is be able to get to neutral so your body can do what it does. And going to like talk about the hitting stuff too, sometimes we get so focused on the mechanic, and it's like, well, yeah, you can't stay in your hip because you can't
move your hip.
You're either stuck at end range or you can't get into it to begin with. So you're sitting here getting pissed off about the skill of holding your back hip, when in reality
it's not something you
physically
can do.
your body will not allow for it to do. It's important, man. Like,
you gotta be able to move right.
Look at the golfers. The golfers, like the golf's
swing.
So far ahead of the game when it comes to that kind of stuff.
And he started in golf. So my guy started in golf.
Makes sense.
And like they're the definition of like a one-sided rotational athlete.
Yeah.
And so like all those things that they have to do to reset their body, all the rotation that they're working on, like your muscles are supposed to glide. And like if there's an impingement somewhere and they can't, that's when stuff starts to get all messed up.
Yeah. Like there's like, I don't know if y'all have seen the videos, obviously like Tiger's going in the US Open. So they're talking about like his swing change from like when he was younger to now, and like where his hands are positionally, and like basically they're saying like he's shortened his swing, but he's still hitting the ball just as far, if not farther. And they're talking like why that is. And it's just because his body literally cannot get into that position anymore. He has to fix it, which when he fixed where his hands were in his position and his weight, like it actually frees up his body to rotate a lot better. It's just kind of interesting. But again, like
It's one of the ways he blew his back out. It's just like
yeah,
you rotate that hard for that long. Like,
it's like holy cow. But I tell the average fan all the time, like again, this is stuff that you guys go through every day. They think you guys just show up to the field, and that's why people like complain about the money you guys make. And I'm like, guys, like if you all knew, like I tell people all the time, like oh, if you could, would you rotate? Like would you switch with Dansby? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't, because like you guys travel so much, like your family dynamic is so different. Like just like your off season's not really an off season. You know what I mean? Like
that's my favorite one. My favorite one is like, oh, isn't it gonna be nice to have some time off? It's like, well,
2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll take 2 weeks off, and then I will 5 days a week at least be working.
Yeah, that's like we talk.
It's not every 10-hour days, but I will be working.
Dude, every year it's so funny. Like we'll get towards the end of the season, Dave's like, yeah, like we got the off season, and like our other buddy Mitch, like we'll look at each other and we're like, he's gonna go out of town for 2 weeks. He's gonna come back, and then his schedule is gonna be slammed with events. And then all of a sudden we're gonna look up, and it's January, and then we got to go to CubsCon, and then it's like, well, what are we? What's our plan for the season?
Weddings, family vacation, anniversary, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year. It's like
boom.
You start counting down the weekends. You're like, all right, I got 15 weekends to maximize. 11 of them have already been booked.
Well, yeah,
like,
we look up and we're watching the college football playoff, and we're like. And you're like, yeah, dude. Well, I'm thinking about getting down there. I'm gonna go to Texas at the end of the month, and we're like, dang, like that's 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do?
having an off season, I think we're the only sport that does it. Having an off season where Christmas and Thanksgiving are in the off season, and New Year's really tightens it up.
Yeah,
really
but also very thankful that you have those holidays to be able to
like be with family and
yeah.
You're
not having to like.
And you're close to family, so you don't have to travel for those.
Correct. We typically will split we'll be either in Atlanta for Christmas or Thanksgiving, and then the other one will be with her family, either in Colorado with her folks or down Louisiana with her sister and our Louisiana fam.
Yeah, there was for years, my brother and I were living in Austin. My mom was in Columbus, so and my grandmother's in Pittsburgh, kind of outside of Pittsburgh. So Chris and I would like Thanksgiving would come, we're getting on a plane. Christmas would come, we're getting on a plane. It's like, oof. And now with Julie's family in Chicago, one of them we're heading back. So it ends up, and then like every teammate that gets married has to get married in the off season. So you're like, well, I have 2 holidays, 3 weddings, and I'd like to take a vacation.
Yeah, I'm the worst teammate when I have complained for the last 7 years of my life that no one ever invites me to their wedding, and then every time I get invited to a wedding, I never go. Like Happers, I got invited. I was like, dude, it's the same weekend that my mom had planned a family vacation. I was like, I don't think that like I'm allowed to miss that family vacation, or else I think she
might lose her
mind. She wouldn't be very happy with me.
Yeah, if there's one thing you get as a teammate, it's like, hey man, we're doing our one vacation of the year that same day. It's like, I get it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Enjoy that.
It's kind of like, like you have any kids?
No, not yet.
Yeah. So it's like when something comes up, like we're supposed to be playing golf, and then one of the buddies, but hey man, like I got like, hey,
kiddo got sick this one. Yeah.
I get it.
Fine, do your thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
No man, I appreciate it. This was great.
I enjoyed it.
This was great.
Yeah.
We gotta have you on the compound.
Yeah, you let me know, brother.
Come on.
We can do a little. We need to do some type of like collab event together. We need to do like a mix up.
What were y'all doing? Were y'all putt-putting?
When?
I saw a clip of you
with the Barstool guys.
Yeah,
I did that with them in spring.
I don't know why
they had like
we should definitely do some type of like collab event.
We're trying to get and like we're trying to like golf in the off season. I think that'd be a hilarious.
He's unbelievable,
dude. I think that would be great.
3v3 compound versus express.
I've been saying that for a while. That like, especially with our off season, like there's no baseball content in the off season. Like just being able to do something like that, get out, play golf, film
That's
it.
What we're gonna do.
Yeah, we should do that.
That would be great.
We could do. We could come out to Austin. I'm sure there's probably better weather and easier in the
like
winter months. We go out there.
Ryder Cup series.
Yeah, we could do a little
express compound Ryder Cup series.
That would be great.
Because who else does it with you? It's you, Zach Short,
Dakota Mekas.
That's right.
They some golfers.
Zach's a player. Dakota plays, but Zach's like
that's a problem.
Zach's
too.
a player.
All 3 of us are
we're casuals.
We're we're not.
Happer's good. Like really good.
Really, all you baseball guy. I mean, it doesn't. It's like you know, we always joke at the high school. It's like, who's the most athletic? One of the baseball guys. Like, they do everything. Like, they're just, like, what do you want to, cornhole?
The skilled,
fine,
especially, yeah.
Baseball,
yeah.
fine. Basketball, you guys are naturally shooters.
What would you
like,
say your handicap is?
0.
Your scratch? Get the frick out of here. Okay, it's going to have to be a handicap event.
We can do that.
We're not playing straight up.
Yeah,
Are you
we're going to
kidding me?
get strokes.
Yeah.
We'll play the women's tees. You guys play back there.
Yeah.
That'd be hilarious.
Zach's like a +1 or +2.
Yeah.
Oh, we're definitely going to need
Yeah.
strokes.
Yeah. That's all right.
I'm like we're probably like what? Well, I'm a 14, but you're probably a
No, I mean, I'm
14.
You've
15.
watched me. I mean, I'm.
Yeah.
If I'm playing
You're
in the
80s.
mid 80s, then I'm.
That's like a
We're
14,
good.
15. And our buddy Mitch is he's a 20. So
There's great golf in Austin. We could
Yeah.
set that
No,
up.
we should do that for sure. That'd be great.
yeah, just put it. We'll have to get y'all probably have what 3 days available. So
yeah. We'll get that on the schedule.
It's one of those.
schedule.
It's really one of those things where we just got to go. We're doing it like this weekend.
That's what
Yeah.
everything is like.
yeah.
Hey,
So it can already get on the books.
January,
like, honey,
whatever.
You have to set it and just be like, this is.
Yeah.
We're not changing it. This is it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2 months in
That'd be
advance. Put it on
great.
the calendar. Put
That'd
it on
be
the Google
great.
calendar.
All right.
'Cause, yeah, that'd be fun.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Appreciate
Thanks,
you coming
fellas.
on.